Open up, step right in into the digital doorway. Let the podcast begin. Here's where the journey starts. Stories unfold, wisdom to win. Voices share, connect the hearts. Tune in tight, let the vibes flow. In this space we all grow.
Welcome to the Digital Doorway Daily Huddle podcast. Today the producers set the topic, life-changing moments. I've been thinking about it over the evening, and I realize there's many moments that seem to shape the path of our lives, some positive, like getting your degree from university. That can be a life-changing moment for many people in a positive way. But then there are many negative life-changing moments. I shan't list them because we'd be here too long. Either way, I believe that the challenge when it comes to life-changing events is to make the changes they catalyze to be for the better. But how do we do that? In Viktor Frankl's book, The Will to Meaning, he offers some guidance. He posits that finding meaning is the solution. A strong meaning orientation is a health-promoting and life-prolonging, if not life-preserving agent. But we don't find meaning in the events themselves. The meaning is found in our response to the events. And it is vital to be guided by our conscience when we choose our path of action. He says, logotherapy teaches that pain must be avoided as long as it is possible to avoid it. But as soon as a painful fate cannot be changed, it not only must be accepted, but may be transmuted into something meaningful, into an achievement. So by focusing on our response to life-changing events, we are able to create meaning out of them. And nothing can take that away. Your life is a monument, and no one can remove it from the world. I heard this past weekend that a schoolmate committed suicide. He leaves behind his son, and he unfortunately didn't know how to respond to life in a way that created meaning. And he was overcome by what Frankl calls the existential vacuum. Not everybody struggles with psychological issues per se. Many people are actually struggling instead with a lack of meaning in their lives. What counts is not what lurks in the depths, but what waits in the future, waits to be actualized by you. But we don't find meaning just by sitting inside ourselves. We find it in our actions, in our responses, when they are guided by our conscience. Identity doesn't result from concentration on oneself, but rather from dedication to some cause, from finding oneself through the fulfillment of one's specific work. Nothing we have done in the past can be undone. We can't change the past, but we can change the future. Facts are not fate. What matters is the stand we take toward them. The misery of a single person can be turned into a sacrifice for the sake of all humankind. If there is meaning, it is unconditional meaning, and neither suffering nor dying can detract from it. Viktor Frankl himself was sent to what he calls extermination camps. They weren't concentration camps. They were places where people were specifically exterminated. And he says, I had to go through the hell of despair over the apparent meaninglessness of life, through total and ultimate nihilism, until I could develop an immunity against nihilism. It's not an easy path, choosing our responses, right? But it is a meaningful one. And being determined and persevering are key. But so too are leaning the people you can for support, reaching out when you need it, And through those actions, small actions, these are not the actions of great warriors like Achilles in mythologies. These are the simple, small actions of mothers and brothers, fathers and friends who help the people around them to carry on when life-changing moments occur, particularly the painful ones. And that makes all the difference in our ability to respond to them using our conscience. So that's my introduction. That was the stuff that I thought of. The other book I recently read, East of Eden, talks about the word timshel, meaning thou mayest. Thou can choose. You have the ability to choose your response. You have the ability to do something evil or to do something good, but it is your choice. And when life gives you these moments of great change and upheaval that move you from the path you thought you were on to a path that might not even seem like a path, might look like an overgrown jungle that you can't even see anything through. But you have the ability to choose your response to that change. And in that lies all the power and meaning of life itself. What do you guys think about that? I'm going to open the floor.
Yeah, I really agree with what you're saying about things happen to you and you got to choose your response. The response you have to life-changing situations is ultimately the main factor that influences your life. And how I see it is a life-changing situation can be the worst thing that ever happens to you or can be the best thing that ever happens to you in hindsight, even if it's a bad situation. We know that from so many success stories, and true purpose, I feel like, is only found in pain. It's only found through going through things that people, like, it's a common human thing to go through tragedy, and the way you internalize it and the way you use it can lead to great purpose, because that's where people need help the most in life, is in their tragedy and in their pain. And if you can see it in a way that 99% of people wouldn't see it, you can be that 1% of insight that can change their life. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying on that. And yeah, I've got a few life-changing moments that I just wrote down yesterday when we discussed the topic. But do you want me to go through that now, or should we just let everyone?
No, let's hear him. Let's hear him. I think that'll be cool to hear. What events did you think of when you thought of this topic?
Yeah, so I don't want to go too deep, and I'm just thinking of basic things that kind of changed my perception as life moved on, and I've got two simple things and then two quite heavy things. So I told you guys when I was in school, I went to some disco and I was dancing, and someone was like, "Why are you dancing like a bunny?" But I was in grade 3, grade 4. But I remember that moment made me self-conscious. It made me self-aware about everything I did. And that's just me being honest. That's where the start of me being self-aware of my actions happened. And yeah, it's cool to think. It's nice to know that I remember that, because if I didn't, I'd kind of just be in this perpetual cycle of behaving in a certain way that I don't understand, with negative self-talk and kind of watching myself all the time. But because I remember it, I can be oh, that's stupid. I don't really need to be like that. Being myself is okay, and being that moment actually changed me for the good, because it made me experience something, but made me be oh, I actually don't really want to experience that anymore. So that's.
I just want to say quickly, Ricky, the thing is, your very conscious response to that event and using your conscience as a guide. I mean, I think we all naturally want to have the best impact on each other, but yeah, kids can be cruel and they say mean things. But the fact that you recognize that actually they were kind of holding you back, I hope now you dance like a madman.
I try to.
That's good.
But it did take a lot of years to kind of. I think every human goes through it. If we all thought about a story, we remember a moment where something happened, and then we just it's common for people to be self-conscious.
Yeah, for sure.
Breaking out of it does take a lot of internal work, and also just shutting off voices that, because you can experience emotions, but you don't have to feed into them. That's a lot of what you're saying is like you can go through trauma, but you don't really have to feed into the bad sides of it. You can pull out the good things. So I agree with what you're saying. And then
What are some of your other events?
I'll just quickly say like two more because I wrote down a lot. In grade 8, I went into high school and I was super naughty and rebellious, and yeah, I didn't enjoy school. I openly just went against the system blindly as like a 12, 13-year-old, which wasn't really smart because I just like decided like F maths, I'm not going to do maths anymore. And I purposefully sat in class and never focused in maths, and I was good at it. And that happened for the whole of grade 8 and 9. And by the time I got to grade 10, I couldn't catch up. And that's always been a regret for me. I was good at it, and I was just being naive and dumb and young and rebellious. Deciding
Teenagers very famously don't have fully formed brains yet, right? We do make decisions as youngsters. I have a litany of bad decisions from around the same period of my life, so I can relate to that. But that's part of growing up, yeah. Got to test the boundaries and be kind of an idiot. Kids are idiots, but that's also how they learn not to be idiots when they grow up. And I think you're a testament, because you're not an idiot now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I latched onto other things like creativity and other parts of me that I can use intellect in a different way. So making a positive out of a negative situation, I guess. And then the last one, which is more of a deep one, was my mom getting sick growing up. So my mom had like various strokes and seizures growing up, and she would often forget who I am, forget my name. And it was weird to go through life like knowing that like your mom, the version of her that knew you doesn't really exist anymore. It's kind of like a mourning in a way. But that has like, it's really, in hindsight looking back, it's allowed me to meet my wife, because when I met my wife, she had multiple sclerosis. So I had that relation with her of understanding what it's like to be around someone who's sick. So that was one thing that really helped. And it was just a lot of, I think, when like the more pressure you face mentally or physically or anything, you grow. And we all go through pain, but like hitting that pain over and over again, it builds a resilience, and it builds a deeper understanding and empathy. So that's a good thing that's come out of it. And yeah, it's just a big appreciation of life and the futility of it, which I don't think you, as Prince said before, which actually made me think about this, but like you don't think about it until something happens. And yeah, a lot of people don't know that till they're much older, and I think it's much harder to navigate those emotions like after living a comfortable life. So
yeah, I actually just want to mention a video I watched yesterday about anti-fragility, and one of the biggest tools that can be used to get through these moments, because you're a testament to somebody who has gone through this difficulty, but because of your chosen responses, you've created positive outcomes. You've made it better, even when it was very difficult and hard for you. And you essentially were anti-fragile. And one of the most useful tools is gratitude, which I believe you're expressing now, is you're even looking back at the hardship and being grateful for it, because it allowed you to grow. And that gratitude is one of the most effective tools in being able to be what is called anti-fragile, essentially not just the resilience that bounces back from something, but actually grows from it. Well done, Ricky. I think you're doing really well, and the fact that you can reflect on these things like this is really impressive.
Cool. Thank you, D. Yeah, no, that's like my biggest thing in life is I always just want to wear my heart on my sleeve. It's a hard thing to do, especially like in the workplace, but it's also not really hard for me to do. So But yeah, just trying to be like the most authentic, expressive version of myself, I think makes me a better creative and allows me just to be a more raw person, which is what I value. So,
There
and
we
yeah,
go.
it was like, it wasn't easy. It's not like these things happened and it's like, oh, like I got over it.
Mm.
It's like a
Yes,
lot.
in a
Yeah.
30-minute conversation, we can make it seem very simple in hindsight. But no doubt, when you're going through it, the slug is real. And yes, minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, and it feels almost like an endless travail that you have to go through. But yes, looking back at, we're not minimizing how difficult it is, but just recognizing, yes, the power and strength that can come through it by just hold on for a little bit longer. Cool, cool. Thanks, Ricky. Prince, OP, who's jumping in next?
So I just wanted to what you touched on, Dylan, the empathy point of it. I've also realized that once you went through, like with Ricky's example, when you go through something, you kind of like develop a sense of finding people who are going through something similar, and like how you respond to that certain situation, or that the problem that you went through, and maybe you make it out of it. How you respond kind of builds a way for someone else to see that there's something on the other side. Because a lot of the times, what we go through, we don't really know that there's something waiting on the other side of walking through the storm. But like when we meet someone who's actually been through it and who can actually talk us through making it to the other side, it becomes like the path becomes clearer. Because a lot of times, like you said, we all go through situations and we all go through like circumstances, but what I've found is that some people stay there because they don't really see that there's a way out. And as humans, yes, we all connected, and I think the value of being connected is that we should show each other the way out, and not necessarily like sometimes we won't really find it by ourselves, but that's why we have to rely on each other and rely on our fellow brothers and sisters just to show us the way and just light that path.
Sure, that's a good point, OP. And one thing I would add to that, though, is it does help having people who have walked the path before, but we also have to walk our own path.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes we can see somebody doing it and we see them walking their path, but we can't walk that path and we have to walk our own. And that can be a challenge. But yes, having an example, having what I call my dead friends, Viktor Frankl, Alan Watts, Plato, Aristotle, all of these people who came before and walked their paths have left what I call signposts in the desert. Just a little sign pointing to a direction. Doesn't mean that you're going to walk the exact same path, but when you need it and you come across that sign, it can change everything.
Yeah, and it's like what Ricky said, like we're all capable of doing amazing things, and sometimes we just need that little reminder from someone else that you can do this, and there's a way out.
100%. A little bit of reassurance can go a long way.
Yeah.
3 words, you got this.
Yeah, for sure.
Prince.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, OP. Yeah, I just liked what you just touched on around just sometimes leaning towards people who have walked the path that you're currently in. I remember just before when I joined DD, I was diagnosed with Tolasahan syndrome, which is like I don't know if it's called a disease or what, but it shuts off your eye. Like immediately one day I was just sitting, and when I stood up, I started seeing double vision. I couldn't see one thing, everything was just two. Then after a couple of weeks, it progressed. I got like some terrible headaches. Then my eyes started shutting down. I couldn't move it anymore. It's only one that's moving. Then I remember just going to hospitals, and DD was really helpful around that, just helping with my medical expenses because I didn't have a medical aid. Up until I ended up at Baragona Hospital and also stayed there for like a week. And I saw a couple of doctors, and no one knew what was wrong with me up until this old retired doctor came to me, spoke to me, and then the following day, he came back and said he might know what's wrong with me. And after that, he told me that, yeah, I have Torshan syndrome, and he knows how to, I can get out of it. And yeah, around that, I got some medication, got on steroids. And I was so happy because I thought it's going to be the end of it. Little I know that, yeah, steroids are the devil's drugs. And I only knew that they're called the devil's drugs because I found a group on Facebook for people who experience the same issue. And yeah, I didn't really understand why they call it the devil's drugs, but yeah, that was one of the most difficult periods in my life. But yeah, I think it was great because just in that group, I saw like, okay, at least I'm not alone, because like Torshan syndrome is very rare. Like it affects one or two people, one of two people per million, I think. It's very, very rare. But I got to hear people's stories. And yeah, that gave me some comfort, just thinking that, okay, I'm not crazy, and this is not only happening to me.
For sure. Having a bit of solidarity that, yes, you aren't alone. I remember that, Prince. That was a few years back now. Eh?
Yeah.
I remember it was scary. It was, yeah, just one day Prince woke up and it wasn't good. But I was, yeah, I'm glad we could be there for you and offer you that support and help you through that journey, because, yeah, it was scary. But again, your response to it, I think you made all the right decisions. You made decisions out of conscience for yourself to take care of yourself. Why do they call steroids the devil's drugs?
It just mess up with you. Like you gain weight so quickly. Like you remember in 2 weeks, like I gained weight to a point where I looked at myself in the mirror. I couldn't recognize myself. Even my mom looked at me, said, okay, what's going on? So yeah, it was quite, and it also messes up with your emotions. I remember it's something that I'm not proud of, but one day I was speaking with Tato, and like, yeah, the drugs just make you so impatient and so agitated all the time. And I snapped at her, and something I'm not proud of. Like, I'm normally a calm person, and I don't do that kind of stuff. And something that just look back and
Can either of you imagine Prince losing his temper?
No.
and it was so like such a stupid thing. Like, but yeah, at least like she knew what I was going through, and she was able to understand. Like, yeah, I never like speak like loudly at her or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't actually Prince speaking, and I think one of the most famous side effects of steroids is what they call roid rage, an increase in aggression. But yes, they mess with your mind. They can affect depression, paranoia, anxiety. They also affect your body. I mean, it wasn't just a weight gain, but I mean, they also affect your organs, your liver, your heart.
Yeah.
They can create hormonal imbalances. But yeah, it was a scary time. It was, I think, definitely for you a life-changing moment. But listening to you reflect back on it now, I feel quite secure in the belief that you did the right thing and that you have come out of it better and stronger. And yeah, strength and resilience doesn't mean being a stone. It means more like being water, yeah? Knowing when to yield, knowing when to push, knowing when to go around something, knowing when to go over something, knowing when to go through something. It's a strength, but it's a quiet strength, and it's a yielding strength. It surrenders when it needs to, and it stands tall when it needs to. It falls when it needs to. And yeah, well done to all of you. I think all of you have gone through challenges like everyone else in life has. But because of the choices you've made, the responses you have chosen to your life-changing events, you have created a catalyst for something better, for something good. And at the end of the day, when we die, either people will celebrate we were gone because we were kak, or they will cry because we were good. And I believe from these stories, it illustrates that you are good people. So well done, everybody. And thank you for sharing. I appreciate it very much.
Join the ride.